Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. But today I'm really excited to be looking at the iPhone 15 Pro that we have here. And I'm actually so far really impressed with it. Now this video, today's video, is more about its cameras. I'm not really interested in going through its functions, how it works. I think there's so many, well, I don't think there are so many other videos on YouTube that can do a much better job of that than what I can. So I just want to talk about how I use it as a photographic camera for taking stills and how I use it as a video camera. And I've got the 15 Pro simply because it's got various features, quite a few more features than what the 13 Pro has. I already own the 13 Pro. There's various videos on my channel about the 13 Pro. They look almost identical. I mean, they're very similar in design. There are various design changes. The new 15 Pro is titanium. This one isn't, but let's not worry about that and talk about those things. Although I will say the handling is quite nice. It is a little bit slippery, but not as slippery as the 13 Pro. I tend to use them in a case anyway. Nice rounded edges, which is rather nice. Really high quality screen, which is great for taking photographs and video. You want to be able to see what you're doing, particularly when you're outdoors and it's bright sunlight. So crucial for that. I find with the 13 Pro, sometimes even with that, it can get quite dull. But the 15 Pro is great. It's more than bright enough, works fantastic. It's certainly a lot brighter than the monitors that are on the likes of my 1-inch Sony RX100. Although I still love my RX100. But that screen doesn't get anywhere near as bright as what the iPhone 15 Pro does. It's also nowhere near as big. Although obviously this camera has a viewfinder where the 15 Pro doesn't have a viewfinder. But you don't really need that for the sort of images that I take. I'm using it purely as a walk around camera, kind of a happy snapper camera, you know, but I still want to get really decent images. I've done this a couple of years ago. Do I carry on taking me RX100 with me everywhere I go? It's the Mark 7 actually, but do I take that with me everywhere I go, or do I just rely on a mobile phone? And I think now the image quality that's coming off of mobile phones is really good, and I'm beginning to really see, do I need the RX100 7? I do for myself because I wouldn't want to sell it. It's a great little camera. And it's got that optical zoom where the iPhone 15 Pro doesn't have an optical zoom. It's got 3 cameras on the actual phone. So you've got 3 modules on the back there. So you've got a 48 megapixel main camera. That's about 24mm in full frame terms. And then the other 2 cameras are 12 megapixels. That's what it kicks out. With a main camera, the 48 megapixel camera, they call it 3 lenses or 3 modes. You've got 24mm, 35mm, what was it, 24, 28 and 35 I think. So that's quite interesting, but it still outputs them as 24 megapixel files. It's cropping into the sensor, so you would think logically you would lose resolution because it's cropping into the sensor, but you're not. It's still outputting 24 megapixel files. And I've noticed that when I've checked them on Lightroom, they are actually 24 megapixel files. So I think what they've done, you could actually crop it in post. You could go into Lightroom or any photo editing software and crop your images after you've taken them. But you would lose resolution as you crop into that image because it's a digital file. You will lose resolution. But with the camera, it's actually doing the cropping before you take the photograph. So it's doing the cropping in camera, but it's still outputting a full resolution file. So I don't know how it's doing that. Incredible technology. This is a thing with mobile phones now. The technology is incredible with them, and you can do some amazing things with them. Now, I'm going to show you a few of the photographs. There are only some test photographs I've taken, outside and out in the garden. Nothing really exciting, but you'll be able to see the sort of resolution that you can achieve. Also, these images will be on my Flickr page, so I would highly recommend you take a look at them on Flickr rather than studying them on my YouTube channel. Firstly, I'm only going to flick through them, Flickr, there we go. I'm only going to flick through them. Secondly, you can study them, for as long as you like on Flickr. So That's basically the three modules on the back here. Also, it's got a macro mode, and that seems pretty decent, to be honest. That's 24. That seems to be 24 megapixel as well. So, which is quite interesting because it says it's 12 megapixel. So I am getting a bit confused as to what's what. But what I do know is the main camera is definitely 48 megapixel main camera, and the other two cameras are 12 megapixel cameras, which is your telephoto camera and your ultra wide. I haven't really taken any telephoto images. I don't use a mobile phone for taking telephoto images. I use it for taking nice, well, just nice images of me, the cats, my brother, you know, and when we go out and about. Architecture, street photography, basically. And I think the mobile phone is going to be great for that. Now, video will be a completely separate video. Filming will be a completely separate video as opposed to putting it in this video. I'm still getting my head around all the different video features, and I'm struggling at the moment with getting the skin tones looking right. And I don't know why I am. I never did with the iPhone 13 Pro, but certainly indoors here in the studio here, they're looking a bit wishy-washy, and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing wrong. I've got to play with that more before I, give a conclusion what I think of video. But again, it's got some brilliant features. Because of the USB-C port now that's on it, you can output directly to an SSD drive. I've got the T5, I've ordered a T7, really nice little USB drives, and that's great for filming ProRes. It'll only output ProRes, but ProRes 422, so that is great. You can get some really, really professional video by outputting to an external SSD drive. And you really do need an external SSD drive because the file sizes are absolutely huge. This is a 256 gig iPhone, and that will only give me about 90 minutes, I think it's. No, not even that. It was less than an hour of ProRes 422 footage, and that's with nothing on the phone other than the apps that are on it. So being able to output to an SSD, I think, will be a fantastic feature. But I'm going to do that as a separate video simply because I need to get my head around some of its features and how that works. Now, the iPhone does come with a USB-C to C cable, which is great. It's a charging cable. The weird thing is, although it's a nice cable because it's braided, so it's not going to damage so easily, but it's only USB 2. But this port will support USB 3. So I don't know why they didn't supply a USB 3 data transfer cable, because transferring the data off the phone, even the photographs, it's quite a slow process using the cable that they've supplied. So I've got so many other USB 3, USB-C 3 cables, so there shouldn't be any issue with using other cables. Though Apple do say you need to use the correct cables because it could damage the phone. I don't know about that, but we shall see about that. I also need to check microphones and various other things that you can plug directly into the USB-C port. But as far as images are concerned, they are really, really nice quality. Colours are lovely. The sharpness is nice. Now, what I like about the 15 Pro, they're double the size of what they were from the 13 Pro. This is, as I say, outputs 24 megapixel file sizes. The 13 Pro was 12 megapixels, so you're getting double the resolution. But what's really nice, they're not over sharpened, because with the 13 Pro, I had to turn the sharpness down in the photo editing. I haven't had to do that with any of these images. They don't look digital, and that is the one thing that always annoys me with mobile phone photographs, images. They can look digital, but these are looking very natural. And again, the sharpness is lovely. Now, this is to me, it's kind of a contentious issue about sharpness, because they're really, really small sensors in these phones. Certainly a lot smaller than what you'll find in the 1-inch cameras even, but the depth of field is pretty vast. So you're not going to get creamy bokeh. You're not going to get that lovely depth from the person to the background. If you take, for example, this close-up shot I'm getting on my Sony a7C, which is a full-frame camera, I'm shooting that with an 50mm f1.8 lens, and it's given that lovely depth, that lovely separation between myself and the background, Very difficult to get that with a mobile phone, although you can fake it using cinematic mode, and I can't remember what the photo mode is concerned, portrait mode, that's what it's called. You can fake it. But the nice thing with the 15 Pro, you don't have to fake the photographs at the time you take the photograph, as it were. In the phone, as long as it's detected a face, be it an animal, could be a cat, could be a dog or human, then you can go into that mode and adjust the fake background focus. It's called depth mapping, and it records the depth map of that image, even if you haven't got it set to that particular mode. Very clever, very, very clever. Again, something I've not played with. All these images straight out the camera, not using any of those computational modes, just straight out the camera, 24 megapixel or 12 megapixel files, depending on what lens I used. Now, if we look at this one, now this actually is a 40, this is where I've got confused, because this actually is a 48 megapixel file. That's taken on the main camera, so that's about 24 mil, but other ones, now it's giving me around about 24 megapixel. And I've zoomed in, I've used, well, you see there's 3 lenses on the main camera. Well, isn't there's only the one lens, but there's 3 modes, 24 mil, 28 mil and 35 mil. As I said earlier, it's cropping into the sensor, but still outputting that larger file size. So this is 24 megapixels. So maybe that's what Apple means. If you are shooting at its widest, not at the ultra wide lens, but with the main camera lens, and you're shooting at 24 mil, maybe that does output a 48 megapixel file. It's only when you crop in possibly to the 28 or the 35 mil mode, but it's giving you 24 megapixel files. It's really lovely. And even though it's using computational photography to get the clouds in and get everything else right, it's like a HDR image, but it isn't looking like a HDR image. It's not looking fake, and I really like that. When you zoom in closely, the sharpness isn't digital. I do like that. Now these are RAW. These are Apple Pro RAW or Apple RAW, so I can edit these if I wanted to, but I haven't. These are straight out of camera. But again, the detail is really, really nice. Really, really nice. Lovely images. And I say exposure is really good. But look at the depth of the sky, the colours, the strength of the colours. You know, these images you could print, you could be quite happy putting, well, not necessarily these images, but you know, this camera is capable of taking really nice images that you can put on the wall. Now here's an example of how this is working. So for example, that one there is 5702 by 4284. But the one before that is your 48 megapixels. So that's shot at 24 mil on the main camera, but you can, as I said, you can crop in camera and it's still giving you 24 megapixel file sizes. See, that's 48 megapixel down to, well, that's the ultra wide camera, I believe. So that's about 12 megapixels. So yeah, but even that, they're natural. They're looking really natural. Now there's sensors in this camera, all Sony sensors. So whether that is anything to do with it, I have no idea. I'm well conversant with Sony cameras. I've been using them for years, and you know, I'm using them now. As I said earlier, I've got the A7C filming with close-up shot. I've got my A6600 getting a wide shot there with the Sigma 18-50 lens fitted. And I've got my ZV-E10 with the Sony 11mm lens over there. And then getting the close-up shots on my phone is my trustworthy little Sony ZV-1. So, you know, maybe that's what it is. It's the sensors that they're using in the phone. But obviously it's all their computational work that's going on under the hood. It's the chips and everything else that Apple have put into this particular phone. But yeah, images, the colours are vibrant, but not looking so vibrant that they look false, you know. It just works for me. The whole system just really works. So I can see myself, as I've said before with the iPhone 13 Pro, I certainly can see myself just going out with the iPhone 15 Pro and not using me little Sony RX100, I think I could go out with that quite happily. Actually, I'll show you what I mean about the camera. So if we look at the camera, that's now showing 1 times on there. You see at the bottom there it's got 1 times. If I click on that, that's now gone into 24mm, so that's 1.2 times. Then it goes to 35mm, which is 1.5 times, and then back to 1 times. So it's an interesting thing that does. Then you've got your ultra wide, which is your 12 megapixel camera, and then you've got your telephoto camera, which I haven't used because I know many people say, it's not just me, but many people have said that the telephoto cameras on mobile phones are still not, still not great. The zoom lens on my little RX100 would be far superior to the zoom on the phone. So, if I do know I might like to take some, more telephoto shots, and I don't want to carry a load of heavy gear around, I would take my RX100 Mark 7 with me, without a doubt. But general purpose photography, I would use the iPhone. I mean, it's got pano mode. It's got, as I said earlier, a cinematic mode, which creates that fake bokeh, portrait mode, which creates the fake bokeh. There's a lot of features now being built into mobile phones, which are very much computational. It's using computer technology, AI, to create those images. That is the iPhone 15 Pro camera array that's on the phone. Really nice set of cameras. As I say, video wise, I'll be doing a separate video. I need to do a lot more experimenting with that, but photographic wise, take a look at them on my Flickr page. I think you'll be impressed, certainly for the fact they've come off a mobile phone. And I think, even if I hadn't come off a mobile phone, I will be doing comparisons between this and the iPhone 13 Pro. And I certainly want to do comparisons between this and I think would be its nearest competitor, even price-wise, they're not that far off, would be the RX100 Mark 7. So I am going to do some comparisons between these as the following weeks move on. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button if you like the content of my videos. Would really appreciate that, and it does help me grow the channel. And stay tuned for more videos relating to the iPhone 15 Pro and obviously lots of other gear as well. So thanks very much. Cheers for now. Bye.